In the last video, we spoke about how that one phone call changed everything. Customer in Africa, husband in Africa, wife at the airport, children at the airport, everyone's crying. There's a race against the time. Customer service got involved, investigation opened, airline were contacted, everybody is waiting, and still there was no answer that what eventually happened. And the minute the investigation results came, it was found that it was my error, which I couldn't believe. So let's talk about it now, the chargeback. Hi guys, welcome back to your channel Dreamport Journey with Arpita. This is your host, and now we are going to talk about the boiling chargeback of 7,200 Canadian dollars. Now, the reason, even after the customer had paid $12,000 completely for the ticket, why I was only charged that amount, $7,200, that's because the husband and his brother had already taken the flight and they were already in Africa, so that ticket was sorted. But the ticket which involved the three daughters, including the infant and the mother, and that's where the issue began. And that is the reason the chargeback was only for those 4 tickets, because that's where the error had happened. Now, when the investigation was opened and, when the calls were heard, when the emails were checked, when the passports were checked, everything was checked. Initially, no one could actually figure out where the problem was, because by the looks of it, the name was given, the name was copied, the name was pasted on the booking form, the payment was done, the tickets were issued. Even when the tickets were issued, the names were identical as on passport. But the problem lied when the customer service checked the passport and when it was informed by the airline where the error actually happened. Now, when the investigation began, a few days later, ideally the customer was supposed to leave on the 27th of June and they were supposed to reach Accra on the 29th of June. But because of my error, the entire family got stranded and they were at the airport, at 2 in the afternoon until the 11 p.m. in the afternoon. So of course, yes, they had to go through the entire toll. They had to take that entire thing on themselves, with the 6-month-old baby as well. So imagine the plight of the customer, of the family, and at the same time, an agent who does not even know what she has done wrong. So everybody was, in a situation where no matter however hard we were trying to help out, but we were running against the time, So basically, when the airline identified the issue and the customer service checked the passports, they checked the booking, they checked the forms, they checked the call recordings, because this is where your call recordings play an important role, because whatever we speak with the customer, everything is recorded. So if tomorrow anything of this sort happens, people can go back and check the call recordings. Then the special service team were also involved, because they are the ones who looks after, the chargeback issues and everything. And eventually when the conclusion came back, like I said, the mistake was mine. And the minute I remember that conclusion and I started thinking, no, this can't be right. I do not accept. I do not agree. I was so overconfident that I cannot make a mistake for a process which I have known so much, which I have learned, which I'm dealing with every now and then with all the customers. I cannot go wrong. No, this can't be my mistake. I was in denial. And that's a human tendency, because when you're so overconfident, because I was comfortable, remember? So I did not want to, accept my mistake. And also because I knew, I had asked the customer to verify everything on the form. I knew I had spoken to him for almost 2 hours. I knew we had gone through, so many details. So I genuinely did not believe it. See, because like I said, when you are in your mental fatigue, and remember the place that I was coming from, the space that I was coming from, for a month, if you've been answering the same questions repeatedly, not once, twice, thrice, maybe 50 times, what would you do? Because what happens is then the conversation starts replaying in your mind. Then assumptions come into picture that I had already asked and he replied. Even though he may have not replied, but your assumptions, because you have done the same conversation multiple times, so your brain starts playing games with you, and that's where the recording became the important aspect. Like I said, the minute the transcript was shown to me, when the special services team got involved, they sent me the entire transcript. I read the entire call transcript, yet I did not believe, because I was under the impression, like I said, I believed in myself, and I know I am, thorough in the process. I can never go wrong. And that's the reason I did not even trust the investigation at first. So I did something most people probably would not want to do. I literally sat down, I listened to the entire 2-hour recording myself. Every minute, every question, every answer, every discussion, I was literally listening to everything. Not only the 2-hour recording, even after the booking was done, I had called the customer back 2-3 times, and that also lasted for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I also heard them that maybe somewhere I would have asked and he would have given me the answer and I could be saved. I would not be in a situation where I am being charged for that. Like I said, because I wanted to know where exactly I had gone wrong, and then I heard it. And that changed everything for me, because I knew I had asked the right question. Not once, not twice, but thrice. But I never waited for the answer. And why I did not wait for the answer was because the minute I was asking him to verify, he was coming up with another question and I was answering. Then another question, then I was answering. And then somewhere in those 2 hours, verification never actually happened. I assumed it had happened, but assumption and confirmation are two very different things. Now, what was the actual mistake? So basically, if people who are already in Dreamport, you all know that on the OAF, on the online authorization form or on the booking form, it is mandatory for us to verify the names of the passengers. We always ask the customer that, do you read the last name, first name, middle name, the date of birth and gender, and please see if it matches as on your travel document. And this is exactly is written on our form also, right? And that is a mandatory procedure that we have to do irrespective, either by hook or by crook. We are supposed to take that yes from the customer. Now, this is the part, like I said, it is surprising for most of the people because, like I said, the name was never spelled incorrectly because the customer had emailed the name. My job was only to copy and paste, right? So I never entered any random information. Rather, I actually, the issue was, like I said, it was very much smaller, and that is what made the entire mistake so scary because the thing was for the wife's middle name and last name, they were combined. And the last name, so the wife had 2 last name and middle name and the first name. So what had gone wrong was because the wife had 2 last name, one of the last names was entered into the middle name section itself. So technically on paper, the names were correct. As on passport, the names were correct. The only thing was positioning was wrong. So even, for an example, her first name was XYZ, middle name was X, Y and Z, and the last name was X and Y. Now what had happened here was that actually her name was first name and then the middle name was X and Y and third name was X and Y. But when I entered, because the customer had emailed me the names and I had verified with him, when he first emailed, he said, I will be emailing you as first name, middle name, last name, but I will not write that. I will just write the name and you will see, when there is a space, then that becomes first name, middle name and last name. Because remember the trust we had on each other, the comfortability, when he sent me the name, I did not even think of verifying how the names are spelled. Because for everybody, the names were, just the 3 names, first name, middle name, last name. Only for wife, there was a problem because she had 2 middle names and she had 2 last names. And that's where the problem entered. When I copy pasted, because I was doing for everybody, when I copy pasted the wife's first name properly. In the middle name section, I copied 3 names and in the last name section, it was 1 name. So technically when the customer was filling the form, he saw the names were already there. He also did not see the middle name was incorrectly written and I did not even know. And this is exactly where I had asked the customer not once, twice, thrice that Mr. So-and-so, do you really, please see if the name is correct. But the minute I was asking him, he was asking me another insurance question that what if, the flight gets delayed. The second time when I asked him and he immediately asked, but do I need to send the receipt for the lost baggage? The third time when I asked, he told me, but is it okay, right, if I can buy insurance later? Now you see, all the 3 times I asked the information, but the answer was never given because he was so overwhelmed. He was reassuring everything so many times that in that moment, there was a lapse of communication. There was the lapse on my part. I never waited for the answer. I just kept answering his questions and I forgot that I had asked him something and I was supposed to verify. Now, like I said, because that was the issue, everything looked correct to the human eye, which is why after the ticket was sold, customer, me, his wife, we spoke so many times, but never ever it occurred that there is an error because it was correct to the human eye. All her names were there, so everything was correct. Like I said, even the customer didn't notice, even the wife didn't notice, and even after checking the ticket multiple times, nobody noticed until the airport, because at the airport the airline refused boarding, and because airline refused boarding, because as per the passport, the middle name has to be in the middle name, the last name has to be in the last name, the first name has to be in the first name. That is the reason the airline was not giving her the boarding pass, and all the other 3 daughters were getting the boarding pass. Now, what was the real lesson here? And this is where I learned something really, really important. Big chargebacks are not caused by big mistakes. Sometimes they are caused by such small mistakes. Like, imagine everything was just there, but just that, placing made the error. If only because we were speaking so often, if only once we could have, verified, or maybe 2 days ago, if these things could have been, in notice, we could have changed and the chargeback would never have been there. But that did not happen. Because the problem is, sometimes small mistakes often stay hidden until the worst possible moment. And for us, the worst possible moment happened when they reached at the airport, and that's exactly what happened here. like I said, if we had caught 2 days earlier, maybe even if 1 day earlier also, it could have been corrected. We could have reissued the ticket. We could have got the name correction done by the airline. There would have been so many possibilities. But because it was just at the departure time, there was hardly anything that we could do. It had to be the reissuance of the ticket. Reissuance means that this ticket stands cancelled and the new ticket. But the problem is now, why will the customer pay for the new ticket? Because the customer was right in the first instance. He paid for the first ticket, and now at the last minute, you all can understand the fare would have also skyrocketed. So the customer was not willing to pay for the new ticket because he's already paid, right? He wanted a solution from us because that is the reason he came to us. I was his travel agent, so the onus was on me that I have to rectify it. And that is the reason when it got discovered at the airport, everything became so much bigger. And I think this is where I realized that why bonus queue matters. This is one thing whenever I want to talk about it, many agents, they don't like hearing on BQ because, let me tell you, when you are in BQ, you of course often feel frustrated because nobody answers. It's voicemails, it's follow-ups, it's waiting, it's repetition, and so on and on. But technically speaking, if you ask me, if I would have made this sale in BQ, this chargeback would never have come in picture because in BQ, whenever you make a sale, and especially if it's such a big sale, your advisor is always on the call with you. He listens to the entire call minute by minute, second by second. So there is no room for error. But because I was already on live calls, because I had already made a couple of sales earlier and I was graduated to the senior team, I was called an experienced agent, and because I was on live call, the chargeback also happened. BQ is the only phase, I think that's the most valuable phase of your journey at Dreamport, because this is where you learn, this is where you understand the products better, this is where you understand the procedures better, and this is where, your small mistakes become less expensive mistakes. Because, once you handle the live calls, that is like, immediate customers, immediate money, immediate booking, and that is the reason the margin for error becomes much smaller, and that's exactly why experience matters. Now, something interesting happened during this point in time. Our team had gone another chargeback. Now, no, don't worry, it was not for me. It was for my another team member, my friend. We were together in nesting, and then we graduated, we came to the same team in the senior experience team. So interestingly, like I said, she also received a chargeback. Now her situation was completely different. Her customer had actually purchased the travel insurance as well. And the thing is, now this is where it makes it interesting. You understood why my chargeback happened. Now her chargeback happened for a reason. She sold the travel insurance. She explained the benefits of A travel insurance, but the one which was sold to the customer was B. Now, the thing was, when the customer purchased the travel insurance, she was explained XYZ about the travel insurance, benefits. Eventually, the customer wanted to use one of those benefits. They wanted to reschedule their ticket. And when they got in touch with customer service to do that, customer service informed them that, sorry, you can't do it because your travel insurance doesn't cover this feature. And she was hell shocked because she paid, right? She paid for the insurance. And this is another mistake what we make, that when you're so desperate for sale, you just want to, close the sale by selling whatever product the customer is willing to buy without even realizing that it can actually backfire in the long run. And this is why Series 4 is the most important series of our entire, series curriculum that we are doing, because that deals with our mind, that deals with our frustration, our mental fatigue, our errors that we make unknowingly. So, for my friend, she got $650 USD chargeback. And for her, the chargeback was the net amount, not the gross profit. Of course, because her, it was also smaller, like her chargeback was also smaller. And if you see now, different mistake, different situation, but the lesson was same. Know your products, know your procedures. Never assume, always and always verify. Now, this is where it becomes interesting that both of us gone through the same procedure. Both of us went through the same thing. I got a huge chargeback. She got a very little chargeback. Now we both had an option of quitting, right? Because that is what people like to do. So at this point, I finally knew what had happened actually. I now knew the mistake. I knew the cost as well. And eventually I was told the amount, which was 7,200 Canadian dollars. And for a few moments, I genuinely did not know how to react. Should I cry? Should I be sad? Should I be, quitting? Should I, just talk to somebody? Should I hide from people that what has just happened with me? Because let me tell you, until then, I was the top performer. Every single month, I was in the Dreamport newsletter. So happening to a topmost agent was another setback. Because, if you all remember, if you'll go back to my invoice video, the second month, my invoice was $2,088 something. So you see, I had already seen the bigger invoices in the second month itself. And this sale happened in the second month itself, right? So I had seen the bigger invoices. I had seen the initial $130 invoice as well. And then from there on, second month, third month, fourth month, fifth month, sixth month, seventh month, I was always in the Dreamport newsletter for being one of the top most performing agents. So when this came to me, it was a shocker. I couldn't digest that, how has this happened? For somebody who's a topmost, performer, how is this happening? How? I did not know. And for a few moments, like I said, I did not know how to react. Not because of the number, not because of the chargeback, amount, but because I knew one thing, that the mistake was mine. The question was no longer what happened. The question was, what do I do now? And the decision would ultimately shape everything that came afterwards. Because, the hardest part wasn't the mistake, wasn't that chargeback. The hardest part was deciding whether I would now run away from it or I would take responsibility for it. And I think that's exactly what we will talk about in the next video of one of the interesting aspects that people are asking, Arpita, why you did not quit, even after getting $7,200 as a cashback, as a chargeback. And which is why I want to tell you that is one reason what Dreamport really taught me and how I started building my own business here. So please stay tuned for the last and the final journey of the chargeback. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please like, share, comment and subscribe, and we'll meet again in the next one.